Washington Governor Jay Inslee is running for president in 2020 with his campaign focusing on climate change. But the issues Americans are facing are broader than just that.
Earlier, we spoke to the presidential hopeful about his stance on immigration in the midst of what President Trump is calling a crisis at our border.
Number one, we stop this heinous cruelty of Donald Trump using the separation of children from their parents, which is just an inhumane activity. And for him to try to make these children, with the permanent suffering they're going to have, this is sometimes lifetime trauma for these children, is just inexcusable. We've got to not allow him to do that.
The president says we can't take everyone.
Let me get to the second part of this. We have to boost our ability to process people seeking asylum. We do have increasing numbers of people, and we do have to increase the capability to process those, to figure out those who really legitimately entitled to asylum for those who are not. That takes additional agents. It takes an additional immigration judges. Third, we got to not waste our money on a wall, which is a vanity project, what the Republicans themselves agreed was a ridiculous waste of money. Fourth, we need comprehensive immigration reform. Look, we've got over 11 million people here who are working in our industries, who are our neighbors, who are paying taxes, who are coaching our kids in soccer. Those folks deserve, and our country deserves, comprehensive immigration reform. And the last thing I will say is, we need to protect our dreamers. I was one of the first governors who made sure that our dreamers get access to college education, because these young people are some of the most inspiring, aspirational new physicians and lawyers and business people. And to use them as a bargaining chip, as Donald Trump has done, that cruelty's got to end. So there's a comprehensive answer to your question, and I look forward to being president to implement them.
Let me ask you, let's talk about pot. The Attorney General, William Barr, said yesterday that conflicting federal and state marijuana laws have created what he calls an intolerable situation for the Department of Justice. Then he would rather see marijuana legalized nationwide. Obviously, the state of Washington made that a priority, legalizing it back in 2012. Do you agree with the Attorney General's assessment, and would you make national legalization of marijuana a priority as president?
Well, we need to legalize marijuana, and my experience in my state has been profoundly successful, where we have had people ability to exercise their private use of marijuana. It has generated hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue so we can pay for schools and health care. It has not resulted in huge spikes in youthful usage. We have not seen massive criminality in the industry at all. It's been very, very well regulated in our state. So it has been a success by any particular measurement. And I would encourage every governor and every senator to come to my state and look at how successful it is so we can get over this hump. The American people are ready for this. You know, a lot of times politicians are more than a few years behind the people. The people are ready for this in this country, and I think we ought to do that. So,
would you make it a priority?
Along with many other things. But I want to reiterate, the first priority of the United States, the first job of the United States, is to save us, all of us, and our grandchildren for the horrendous effects of climate change. Because we have one chance to do this. This is our last chance. It is an urgent matter. And when you have only one last chance, we need to take it. And that would be the first job of my administration.
Let me just ask you real quick, Governor, on marijuana issue. I'm not harping on pot, but I just have one last question, because we just recently did a story here at CBS this morning on a small town in Colorado using the proceeds of marijuana sales to fund anti-bullying programs in schools.
Yeah.
Is that an example? How would you expand a success story like that in states across the country to show people that there are positives that can come from revenue sales of marijuana?
Well, in our state, we have health care needs that are being addressed. Look, we've got an opiate epidemic. We have a very aggressive and I think successful effort against opiates. And when I say successful, that means we're doing good things. We haven't solved this problem. It's still a huge problem in my state. That kind of money helps on those issues. It helps in our schools. Anti-bullying is an example, but buying textbooks for our kids is not a bad way to use dollars for marijuana as well. So, and these are in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And so what I can tell governors and senators, that this is a way to help finance the necessary services for Americans in a way that's very acceptable across the country. So I think the nation's ready for this, and I welcome people to come to my state to see what works.
Governor Jay Inslee, really great to have you, sir. Thank you very much for stopping by.
Come on by.